What when I say near-death experience for you with Ring, what's the one that's like, oh, I remember that one?
Well, there's this. So we had like 4 or 5 real like run out of money kind of times. Like even when we raised our A round, I remember I kept calling True Ventures because it was like the money was supposed to come in. And I'm like, hey, just wondering like when the wire's coming in. Just I got a plan for like we literally had like payroll on Thursday. It's like Monday, we're out of money, and they kind of knew it, but they kind of didn't. And I'm like trying to like not scare them that we're literally out of money. And so I'm like, they're like, oh, it's gonna come in Wednesday. I'm like, that's great. Okay, cool. Thanks so much. Like trying to be like super calm voice, like.
No worries if it comes in Wednesday afternoon.
Yeah, totally fine.
Or morning.
Wednesday's fine. Like Thursday we're bankrupt, but Wednesday's totally cool. The worst one though was the company is like, we're screaming. So we're growing, that's very hard on cash. Growth is an ugly thing. As good as it is for building value, it's ugly inside. I mean, you're hiring, you're thrashing, you're trying to get ahead of yourself. You have, especially in a hardware business, you have to order 6 to 12 months ahead. And so if you're growing hundreds of percents, like multiple factors, like I have to order, imagine like we went 3 million, 30 million, 170 to almost 500. So when we went from like 170 to 500, I had to order like $500 million of inventory when we were like $100 million business. So like, that's an incredible risk to take. So we are in that 170 to 500. We're going into the holidays and we have a round happening and I get sued by someone who's very large in the business. They get an injunction against the product on me, which, I will not comment on either way. We're the investor decides and, fair is fair, that like a little too risky now. And our $100 million investment gets pulled like days, literally. I mean, we had paper, everything's done. Gets pulled like days before the wire. And now, instead of having $100 million of fresh capital in, we have $0, can't raise. And we're heading into the holidays. We have our inventories at the highest level. And I mean, it is like the wheels, shot off the bus. We now owed money to our factories, which we couldn't pay, which is the only way we stayed in business, was basically just owing money to factories that we didn't pay. Like that's how so we probably went negative 50 to 70 million at one point. But that's just because we just didn't pay the factories.
How do you get through that, Jamie?
You're very stressed out. And I think like I've actually in the most extreme, I think one of my talents is like one of my few talents is in when things get to the most extreme, I actually get very calm. Like, so I'm like not a calm at like a normal level. Like I'm usually a little bit like passionate and whatever, but like when things go like that extreme, I'm actually like a pilot. Like I get my checklist out, like the wings could be ripped off the plane and I'm like calm and like reading the checklist. So I was like, okay, like we don't have money. I called the factories and said basically like, we don't have money. You need to ship us product or else we're like going to turn this thing off tomorrow. And like, I'm sorry to do this. Like and I told the team like I brought everyone under the covers. Like there was no hiding anything. Like I brought everyone in and said like, here's the situation. Here's where we're at. We need to sell everything we made. We got to sell this holiday. Like we do everything we can to sell everything we can this holiday. Like so everyone worked, everyone came together. And this is where people are always scared that when you say this, like everyone will leave your business. It's exactly the opposite. They literally are arm in arm with you. Like immediately, like everybody's just like no one, if you think about it, it's like kind of like a war. I mean, I'm not like a veteran or anything, but like, people stick together. And so especially when like there's an outside force that's coming at you. And so we went arm in arm and we freaking sold everything. And then we settled this case and the company was like, literally at this point, it was just, we broke the record for QVC for the year for sales in a day. $22.6 million in a day. I did that literally. I drank like 25 Red Bulls. I was on for 12 hours of TV. I seriously, like we almost killed ourselves to sell. We just did it. And so, and then what's crazy is that was going into the holidays of 2017. We signed the term sheet with Amazon on January 1st of 2018. So literally like, it was like from solving this to to selling to Amazon was like 45 days.